When it comes to granting planning permissions, some proposals are more contentious and some less. Among the more straightforward projects today was SEPSA Gibraltar's new petrol station on British Lines Road. The Development and Planning Commission gave it full planning permission to effectively become the first such station for vehicles entering Gibraltar across the frontier, replacing the current SEPSA station at Winston Churchill Avenue. Plans to convert a commercial unit at Beachview Terraces into a gym were also approved unanimously. Land Property Services had tried to market the space as a convenience store, which was the preference for many residents there, but there has reportedly been little interest to pursue this on the terms offered. As such, the DPC approved the change of use for the unit on Devil's Tower Road, which will become a gym. Eurocity has outlined planning permission to create 354 residential units in 3 towers. The project envisages retail and commercial space, but it was the provision of parking which was discussed today. The usual guideline is for developments to provide 1 parking space per flat constructed. But having been told to reduce the overall height and massing of the towers, the developers are finding it difficult to find enough space for 354 parking spaces without encroaching on spaces which were originally designated as new public spaces. The DPC committee said one of the things which sold the project originally was how open it was going to be. As such, they told the developers they had to provide all the parking spaces inside the building's footprints, not outside. A house on Governor's Lane that used to be the site of stables for the convent was given permission to build up, and plans to create platforms and a biodome with green areas at the Alameda Botanic Gardens were well received. One of the more contentious issues for the Commission was how it should implement a guideline designed to limit the massing of a new building so that no more than 80% of a plot size is built on at ground floor level. A 15-storey development on Devil's Tower Road had been given outline planning permission, but the developers were asked to try to reduce the planned massing at ground floor level from 88% to 80% of the plot size. The developers asked for informal advice on this and how the Commission intends to implement this guideline. They highlighted that from the first floor upwards, the plans fill 70 to 74% of the footprint, and that on the ground floor they had been asked to re-provide public access to the public underground parking, which reportedly accounts for the extra 8% used. In theory, the 80% rule applies to all new developments apart from those in the Main Street area, but the guideline has not been stringently adhered to in the past. After hearing comments from objectors, some planned and some spontaneous,
Madam, please don't interrupt. Thank you.
The Commission told developers that they would decide this matter when dealing with their application for full planning permission. So the developers had wanted advice to steer their plans, but instead they'll be hoping their detailed plans will be convincing enough to steer the DPC.